Okay, sorry. I was having some technical difficulties with my camera. So I am doing another shelter in place organizing project to give you guys some ideas of things you can do to get organized. And today I'm going to focus on kids' toys and art. Sort of encompasses art, toys, books. So right now I'm sure you're trying to find lots of things to keep your kids busy, and they've probably played with everything they own, etc. It's probably pretty crazy, but I thought I'd show you what we do when we organize kids' toys and how we go about it. So the first thing I need to say is that, like any project, the first thing that we do is sort everything and get like with like. So pull all those board games together, puzzles, um, Shopkins, Legos, etc. And then from there, we start to see like pieces that are broken, toys they no longer play with, things that just are not, if you want to, for lack of a better word, sparking joy with your kids anymore. So getting out just the extra, the trash, etc. Most kids' toys these days are not made very well, and so in terms of getting rid of them, if they're not in great condition, like it's not a great thing to give because they're all broken and everything like that. But if you have a board game or puzzles or some decent toys that you can donate, there's always people that can use those things. And also just being very aware of how much your kids really need, like too much, too distracting, too many things, too hard for them to deal with. What do I want to play with? So I'm going to go through some of the common pieces of furniture that I see in people's homes and what I like for kids' toys. And then maybe try to address a few other points that I like to talk about in terms of kids' toys. So I'm going to just start with these pictures, and I apologize, they're not exactly in the order that I want, so I may be sort of scrambling around for ways to show you what's here. But here, this is like a common setup that I see for people. This is, I don't know if this is the IKEA one, but these cubed bookshelves, and this is just a regular bookshelf. This may even be the Billy bookcase from IKEA. Oh, I'm sorry, I am not sharing my screen. So let me share my screen. Gosh, I will get this down. Okay, let me share my screen. Now we'll go back to these photos. Okay, so we're gonna come back to these photos. I'm gonna go to this one and I'm gonna make it larger so you can see. So this one, like I said, is this common one I see. It's the cubed bookshelf. It can be at IKEA, Target, whatever. I don't know which one this is. But you can see, like, I like that it allows you to put things of books, or I use a lot of clear plastic bins. These are just from Container Store. They are not pretty, but they are extremely functional because there's so many different sizes. There's this small shoebox. There is a little bit bigger of a shoebox. This is a men's shoebox. This flat one is called a sweater box. And then this is a tall sweater box. Then there's a really big one called a jumbo box, and there's a flat one called a boot box. So I usually have those in all different sizes. And this is what I use for a lot of kids stuff. So I really like this piece of furniture because it has lots of options in terms of putting containers and things, or just having the shelves for display or for books or things like that. So here's another example. Again, like using all different kinds of baskets in these little cubes, because just the cubes themselves, or the deep baskets that traditionally come with the IKEA one, they're really deep and they're really big, and deep baskets are not made for little things. Like little tiny pieces just get lost in these. So only think of bigger things. Like I think this, like these Duplos, had she had another big basket, they could have probably gone into one of these, but I was trying to get everything into this piece of furniture, so we did it into a plastic bin. But like big cars, these can go into these deep kind of bins. So that is another example of how I use that. And this, I think, was a smaller kid. Let me minimize this one. Okay, and then here's another example of, I don't know that photo, there we go, of the same thing. It, like this is an example of art supplies. So One of these is probably crayons, one is markers. Here's construction paper. I don't typically do construction paper flat in these little Invikes type things. I prefer to do them in vertical like this in magazine holders. And I'll show you another picture in a little bit of what that looks like. You can see like activity books, coloring books are in here. And then we've got art supplies below, and the kid can grab what they need. The more that you can break apart your art supplies, the more easily, like, your kid won't get overwhelmed, like just crayons, just markers. I often will do one that's like things to glue, or call it embellishments, whatever you want to say, for like googly eyes, feathers, pipe cleaners, things like that, scissors, tape, etc. You want to have a lot of categories, but not too many. So it's a fine line. And for art supplies, probably 4 to 6 different containers is what you need. Okay, then let's go to, here's another, this is an example of more art stuff. So in this case, like I said, I don't know why that's doing that. Okay, so this is markers, markers. We've got one of glue. We have some Play-Doh stuff, paint supplies. Like I said, things to glue, scissors, tape, stapler, like different kinds of things. And then if you like using pencil cups and things like that for your kids to grab, great. But a lot of times if you have way more volume than that, they don't always fit in here. So I like these bins that you can pick them up, go to the kitchen table, draw, and put them away. Okay, and then here's another thing. Kids' games and things like that. I do not know why it keeps loading like that. We often will store games and puzzles and things on their side. Now in this example, these things are sitting in a drawer. It's a really deep drawer, so you can see they're upright. When things are flat, it's really hard to see what's on top of each other. Or if they're on a shelf and you've got like 6 or 8 games stacked on top of each other, it's very hard to get out the one below. So that's why I like treating them like books and just being able to grab what you need in terms of games and puzzles. Okay, I already showed you guys that. Here's another example of, you know, again, we used games stored on their side here, but up here, you know, we just had a few in front of it. I do not know why my photo keeps going away, but sorry. So there, that is that. Okay, and then I'm just going to share. Let's see if there's any other ones to show you guys. They really want to share. Okay, so we did that one. It's another example of art supplies. I guess we look at this. Like, this is another example. Again, things vertical, not flat. You can grab what you need. This is the magazine holder that's holding those activity booklets in place, and it's turned on its side. So it's just like an easy grab versus having to take out the whole magazine holder. So I just like, and this is another place where a magazine holder is, but this one is upright, but this one just makes it easy, really easy to grab stuff. And then finally, here's another example. This is a Pottery Barn storage piece of furniture that a lot of people have. I like this for little kid toys, but again, I don't like it for little tiny things. So as you can see, it works great for the big trucks and things. He'll go pull out a truck and whatever, and you can just put it back. But these small, tiny cars, like if you have to put those in here, it just becomes a wasteland. So this way he can pick up his tiny cars, build a track somewhere, and take them where he wants to be. Or these balls are another great thing to store in there. These are probably smaller cars that the parents wanted me to put in here. This might be a little too small for these cubbies, but the kids playing right here, it's very easy to grab. You just don't want to have like little tiny things that they want to take somewhere, but they can't because they're in here, and then they never make it back there. And then here's another example of art supplies in a drawer. So again, using drawer organizers everywhere you can to keep things separate. Colored pencils, pens, markers. There's stamps in the back of this drawer. These are just like general things, probably in a shared desk drawer. Okay, and then I think I've got it all. Here's another example of art supplies in a cup. These cups back here, let's see if I can make this bigger. The ones back here, these are also from Container Store, these bigger size ones. So those might be an example where you could have all different kinds of things stored up and that you can see the different markers and colored pencils upright, not in a big bin if that's not your thing. Collapse that. And then finally, I just have one more drawer of stuff. Again, glue, scissors, things like that. So I'm going to come back to here. I have to come back to my meeting, sorry. Stop sharing, sorry. Okay. Again, bear with me. Shelter in place, my brain isn't working as well. Anyway, that's what we do with kids' play spaces and how we organize them. So in terms of other kinds of toys or things that we encounter, Legos, that's one I'm asked about a lot. So I'm a big believer that Legos are about the process, not the end result. Kids like, you know, they build them and then, but they don't necessarily play with them. So having one sort of shelf where you can display things and things that they've made, but you can't display everything. So make sure your kid's very cognizant of how many they're saving. And then when you're done with a kit, like, you do not need 8 bins of excess Legos. Like having, you know, I told you those men's shoe boxes or sweater size boxes from Container Store. Those are a great size that you have 2 of the sweater boxes or a couple of the men's shoe boxes of loose Legos. You don't need more than that. Like your kid is just not going to play with that many and they just become a bottomless pit of stuff. So that's my answer on Legos. Dress up is another one. I'll often see people, all the accessories, all the costumes, all the jewelry, all just in one big like toy chest that's just a bottomless pit of mess. I find that if you want to hang the costumes or hang the dress up, great. If you don't have room for that, I just put all the costumes in like a large bin, but then I'll have a separate one for like little purses or little things they put in the purses and a different one for jewelry. You know, just not too segregated, but just something to keep these smaller things from getting totally lost in the shuffle. Other kinds of kid things, so my kids are 18 and 21, and we didn't have this, thank God, when they were little. The things that we had were more like Polly Pockets. That's what I had to deal with. But now there's like Shopkins, and I forget what the other things are called that you have to deal with, all these little tiny things that the kids like to collect. Again, just having a shoebox type container for these things, or just if your kids just love them and they just like put them wherever, like your kid is allowed to have their own, what I call treasure box, a place where they can just stick things that are important to them, but like make no sense to you, little gems or little things they find. So, you know, give them a little treasure chest, possibly something they've made or something that they think is cute, but it can't just be a bottomless pit of stuff. So it's really important to give them a place to put their stuff. So probably the last thing I want to talk about is stuffed animals. I am not a huge stuffed animal lover, never have been, don't like the dust, but I know, and like just the volume that people get. I know that's a really hard one for a lot of people. What I would tell you is, you know, find whatever size container you feel is appropriate for your space, and your kid cannot have more stuffed animals than fit in that. If they do, they have to start making some hard decisions about what they want to keep and what they want to get rid of. So just be very cognizant of that. They just, like I said, they're dust magnets. So that's my suggestions for kids' toys. Like I said, less is more, especially in terms of kids' stuff, and being very aware of the quantity of stuff that you have in their spaces and where they're going to play with it, making sure that it is in a place that they're going to play with it and that they can access it and all those kinds of things. So thanks for listening. This was Shelter in Place for Kids' Rooms and Toys. Looking forward to seeing you on the next call. Thanks. Have a great day.